Hey friends, welcome back to Mustard Seed Homesteading. My name is Megan, and if you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by because this is my weekly backyard garden tour and harvest where I share everything going on with the garden while we do some harvesting. Before we get started, I have to share something with you. So I have shared probably months ago that I was on the hunt for some really good garden boots, and the last couple of years I have been wearing Hissia boots, and they were, when I tell you comfortable, super comfortable, but then I started getting water in my shoes, and friends, I realized that I wore them so much that the soles started wearing away. I will put a picture right here of the boots. You'll see I wore them to the soles started literally just wearing away, and so you could tell I really love those. So when Hissia reached out to me and asked me if I'd be willing to share their boots on my channel, I was like, absolutely, because I've been wearing them for the last couple of years and they've been hands down so far my favorite boots to wear. So friends, I'm going to share with you right now and unbox the pair that they gave me to share with you all, and I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am. And by the way, they did send me a second pair because they have a lifetime guarantee, and because I had showed those pictures to them of the sole wearing out, they sent me a second pair to replace those, which is that's just a testimony to how wonderful the company is, that they stand behind their product that much. So here's the box. I'm so excited, and we are going to wear this together in the garden today, or this evening I should say, because it is evening time. Friends, look at that. Are you kidding me? So these are pretty much the same boots that I had, except these are a bit taller. I was wanting a taller boot because, well, there's snakes back there and I want something to protect my legs. Right now, I have some Amazon boots on and they haven't been too bad. They do the job. However, they're not as comfortable as these. You can see the sole's pretty thick. Look at how beautiful that is and how well made that is. So I am beyond excited, elated, happy, glad to have these, to have a new pair, because I wore the soles out of the other one. So I am going to go ahead and put these on and we're going to start our tour. By the way, these are the ones that I bought from Amazon, and friends, listen, they do the job. They're just not as comfortable. The Hissia ones are, oh my gosh, like right now, I feel like my legs, my calves, I should say, and my feet are so well protected and covered and with comfort. Hands down, these have just been the best boots I've ever worn in the garden. Look at that. Look at how beautiful these boots are. They are so incredibly comfortable. Look at how much they hug my calf. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know about you, but I have some thick calves, okay? So the fact that these cover my calves well and they're not squeezing my calves or they're not too loose is just, that makes me even happier. For whatever reason, it is really difficult to find boots that cover my calves that are not too tight and stuff, because I do have really thick calves. So I'm really happily surprised that these are covering, because the Hissia boots that I had before were not as tall as these. I did ask them if they had a taller boot, because as much as I loved the other boot and they were comfortable, I wanted a higher boot, and so I'm very happy that these are very comfortable. And for the sake of time, because I am doing my garden tour in the evening, I will share the other Hissia boots on the following video. All right, before we go ahead and take a look at the garden, because it is evening time, I got my string lights on. We're gonna start at that end because it gets dark down there and the sun sets over here, as we do every week. But friends, I wanna let you know that I just posted my potato harvest video. Finally harvested all my potatoes. So I harvested them out of the grow bags in the backyard garden. They were the tall bags as well as the trio bags that were kind of lower. And then I say trio because there's 3 square bags that are connected together, and I put 3 on a pallet. And then I did harvest the ones out of the Greenstocks. And if you're interested in seeing the results, I will leave that video video down below. And if you're new here, I also just upped my Greenstock garden tour and harvest videos to once a week as well, because I have added so many more Greenstocks to my garden, and that is why I do a separate one of the Greenstocks as well as the backyard garden tours. But let's go ahead and take a look over there, because friends, the squash, I'm growing more. I'm so excited. By the way, tell me if I'm the only one, but it has been so incredibly hot that I just don't even come out here during the day. I'm doing things in the evening more, or at least like kind of late afternoon going into the evening, because it's just so humid out here. Is it just me, or is anybody else dealing with this? Now, I will say, friends, there's not going to be a lot to harvest because my tomato plants are still growing here. These are all of my romas. I have some more romas here, and then there's romas in this bed right here, and then these are my slicer tomatoes here, but there is nothing to harvest. I mean, there's basil to harvest. Look at this gorgeous basil, by the way. Look at how big this is. So I think this is going to be the best spot for my mammoth basil, because I shared before in my other bed that gets a little bit more sun. It did not do well. It was burning up last year, but oh my gosh, look how big these are. These are gorgeous. I should probably harvest some. I haven't been back here every day because I've been really busy, but I'm just like really, I'm surprised as you guys are watching this right now how big they got. They're so beautiful, because last year, like I said, they didn't grow like this because I think the spot it was not a good spot for them. I can't wait anymore. Look at that squash. So I'm getting another one right here, and then I don't know if you can see that teeny tiny one right over there. This is a total win for me. And you know what? I'm starting to think it's these bags. So I had shared on my potato video, my potato harvest video, I harvested phenomenal potatoes out of this grow bag, these green ones, because I have two more right there. And I'm having really good success with the squash in these, because look at this one. I'm growing a zucchini over here, a green one. And I think there's another one somewhere. Yeah, I can see it. I don't know if you can see it. It's like, it's hidden in there. Anyways, I am just pleasantly surprised. It's making me want to go back on Amazon and get more of these bags. I don't know if it's just the perfect height or what. I had broccoli that did phenomenal in these bags too. All right, so we are all the way on this end. Now, what I have done recently was used up some of the bags, and what I did was I added them in between each of the larger bags, and what I'm going to be planting in here is green beans. I'm also, when we get over there by the wood beds, I'm going to be planting my green beans in there like I do every year, but I thought it would be perfect to put bushing green beans in between. But the other bags, I did stick some amaranth in here as companion plants too. But I did want to show you my pumpkins. So these 4 large bags are all pumpkins, and they are doing absolutely amazing. I actually did start to see one of those vine borer, or one of those white worms. It got into this vine, and I believe this one. And basically what I did was I opened it up with one of my staples because I needed something sharp to open up the vine. And then I went in there and dug it out, and then I planted that part of the stem in the soil as deep as I could to protect it and cover it. So far, so good. Hopefully I can grow some pumpkins on here. And I did the same thing to that one too. And look at this volunteer zinnia. Isn't it gorgeous? I believe this is the one from Baker's Creek. If I can find the name, I'll put it at the bottom here. It's Oklahoma something, I think. But I just love how these colors pop in the evening time. And look at how that vine is trellising up. So we'll have to see how these go, because obviously pumpkins are pretty heavy, and I did purposely put them here so if they needed to sprawl out on the ground, they could. So we'll just have to see how it goes week by week. And then I do have a lot of watermelon. You can see they are starting to grow very beautifully. Some of them are kind of taking a long time to grow, but they are growing, so I have to be patient. And then I also do have some cantaloupe over at the corner over there too. And this blue Hubbard squash is just massive. So I planted this because it was doing so good, but also I know that this could be a trap crop, so I'm hoping it will serve its purpose. This cantaloupe, I just realized, look at it, is just, it's growing everywhere. Okay, I don't want to break you. Okay, just go ahead, just do your thing, that's fine. Anyways, it's growing really good. Cantaloupe seems to do pretty good for me depending on the variety, so I planted some here as well as over there, which I'll show you in just a minute. And then watermelon over here, so far so good. I was able to put 2 vines on there already. This one looks like it is making its way, and then the one that was my longest that got bit, it's still growing. Hopefully I can get it on there too. And I did stick one of my lemon balms over here that was growing in a grow bag because seed fell in it, just as some extra plants over here. And look at that tomato plant. It is still growing out of the ground and it's doing great. And since I am over here, these are all the bush romas that I did put in the bags after the Brussels sprouts, and so far, friends, so good. I did put my buddies in here though, my owls. They're hiding right between each bag, keeping an eye out for critters. Now, I don't know what I'm going to be doing with these bags. I do have some trays left over that could use some seedlings that could use a home, so I might fill these up and just find a spot in the garden for them. Okay, I did want to mention this real quick. So these don't look good. Clearly they don't look good. And I may just come back out here with some fresh seed because I still have some time to plant stuff and grow things. But here was my thinking. So I put 5-gallon grow bags here, and I believe, I know I have at least a pumpkin, a watermelon, and a cantaloupe. Let me see, what did I plant? Okay, Cinderella, black diamond watermelon. I had the Jabai, yeah, I'm gonna butcher that. It's a cucumber. And then that's a spaghetti squash. And then this is a Boston pickling cucumber right here. Now, my idea was to let it sprawl this way. Of course, those will get moved, but I figured I want to see how they grow on the ground, because last year on the ground back there, if you saw my garden tours, I had a volunteer cucumber plant, and when I tell you, I think it gave me the most cucumbers out of my garden, or at least a third of them. I was so surprised. Being very observing of how it grew, it gave me the idea to try some of these on the ground. So right now, those aren't looking too good. I might have to come out here and put fresh seed and try it again. But this is a total experiment, and I just want to be very observant of how they grow if they do start growing on the ground. Now, I will say this, I am extremely excited about. So far, these cherry tomatoes are doing so good on the trellis, and I do think hands down these bags make a huge difference, because I did have the 5-gallon grow bags here, and I think they dried out way too fast. But look at those little cutie pies. I think these are the sweet currants. Flavor bomb. I'm telling you, these are some of the best little tomatoes. None of them have turned color yet, but I'm thinking at least by next week we should be harvesting some. And then those are my little bumblebees. Bumblebees are my favorite, and they're very prolific. Now for my cantaloupe over here, so I claim my little island of cantaloupe, because they did so good over here on the side. But so far, these are doing really good. They're climbing everywhere, and they just look so lovely. There's that lemon balm. It's growing out of the side of the bag. Not gonna touch them and let it chill and do its thing, but hopefully we'll be harvesting some cantaloupe too soon. I do have some random bags because I had some leftover trellises, and they're over there as well. I've added them. I think last week I added it, but I put in a Martha F1, some cucumbers. One has 1 cucumber, the other one has 2, because I'm gonna experiment and see how they do. And then I do have an ashwagandha and one of my eggplants in there. And then this is another squash plant. I want to see how it does. And I believe this is the Black Beauty squash. Yeah. So the seedling looked really good. It's looking kind of sad right now, so I don't know if it's going to make it. But if not, I'll just put seed and put something else in there. Now, this is the Black Futso squash. So this one's looking pretty healthy, and we'll just see how it goes. So for the remainder of the tour, I want to focus on this bed and that bed. Now, if you notice, I finally took off the netting. It was bothering me a lot, and I'm like, they just need to come off. But you friends, I mean, look at this broccoli has just been growing. Now, there's a lot of heads that did not start growing, and that's fine. What I'm going to do is salvage the stalk and use the stalk up. I'm going to go ahead and just harvest all of these real quick. Then we're going to take a look at the peppers. But I do want to quickly show you, look at the cucumbers. Everything is growing so lovely. I am very excited. When I tell you these are my favorite varieties, the Piccolini and the Poniente, they are my favorite, and I cannot wait to start harvesting. I have a very good feeling I'm going to be harvesting cucumbers on a weekly basis. Oh, and I forgot. Look at this sunflower. This was a total volunteer. Look at how huge it got. Look at that beauty. I'm telling you, in the morning when I wake up, because my kitchen is on the top level, I see it through the window, and it is the most beautiful thing to see when I'm drinking my coffee. And I have another one right here, and I also have volunteer dill. But I do want to let you know that I am going to be putting my green beans in here, and we are going to be harvesting all of these onions on the sides. Look at how beautiful they look. So, okay, I'm going to stop chatting, and I'm going to go ahead and harvest these stalks real quick. All right, all broccoli stalks are harvested, and now it's going to be time to replant those green beans. Now for the peppers. Okay, so we don't have enough time to go through both beds, but let me show you some of the peppers in this bed. And by the way, I think I'm going to continue to do snapdragons as a companion plant because look at these beauties. They're doing so lovely. I still have quite a bit of peppers in here. I'm just waiting for them to start to blush. There's the Jimmy Nardellos right here. But friends, look at how lush everything is. Isn't that beautiful? So here's what I wanted to harvest. It's our first Cali Wonder 300. And I probably could wait, but I don't feel like it. Look at that gorgeous pepper. So beautiful. You know what I will harvest though is this jalapeno because I just harvested some from the Greenstock tour. And I'll just add that to the rest of the peppers. Isn't that beautiful? Hey friends, it got dark out, so we are down here by my seed starting section and my driveway that's all lit up, but I'm actually glad that happened because I wanted to show you a few things in here that I haven't shown you. Okay, well, first of all, excuse the mess. I am trying to clean up a lot of things in the backyard garden. You can see those are the hoops that were in the wood bed, so I do need to clean those up and I need to put them away. And then I have these cups right here just drying because I still had a lot of plants on my shelves in the back and I'm trying to clean up the plants that just didn't do good because I waited too long to plant them, or I just don't need them because I always tend to overplant every year. But I wanted to show you these trays of onions. So I was really having some high hopes to replant these just to see how they would do because they didn't grow into really large bulbs. However, it's just past its prime and I just need to get over it and move on. But what I'm probably just going to do is cut off the little tiny onion bulbs, peel back some of the paper and stick this into a stew because I think like the little tiny onions are really delicious too. So that's what I'm going to end up doing with these. And then I am going to start a tray of leeks so that I can plant them in the green stalks for the fall. And see, there's my note. I said try to replant in cups because I have to write myself notes, friends, because I will forget. I put reminders in my phone, but sometimes I will skip over those and then I'll forget them. So actually seeing a note there always helps me. And see, here was my little to-do list, and so far everything's been done. It's been done for a while. The only thing I really need to do is finally plant the green stalks that I bought during the clearance. They're all filled with soil and straw, but I haven't planted them yet. And then I do need to finish planting the 2 herb beds that I have against the retaining wall. And then I use my little Greenstock bead magnet. Isn't that so cute? Look at this cute little magnet. And I just put it right against my table. Which, by the way, I am probably going to add an extension of another table like this for extra storage because for whatever reason, I need more storage. I have not shared this with you because I've just been too busy trying to show the backyard garden. I haven't shown this to you. This is a worm composter. It's new and I wasn't going to show it to you until I really got the hang of it, but so far it is doing pretty good. This is my first bag of compost from this, which is really exciting. But yeah, I'm gonna just kind of work on this and try to see if I can get the hang of it. And then who knows, maybe I'll do an entirely separate video showing you what I do and how I use this. This is what I wanted to show you. So I know I've showed these onions in a past garden tour, but they're still here drying. And I do plan to make a separate video on harvesting all the onions out of the green stalks and the rest of the beds. But I already have a gorgeous harvest of onions and I will be adding this to the harvest from the green stalks so that I can get these preserved and ready for the year. Look at these potatoes, aren't they gorgeous? So I will leave the video down below. I just posted it this week of harvesting all of the potatoes out of the green stalks and the grow bags, and I break down which one did better, how many pounds, all of that. So if you're interested in seeing the results, I will leave that video down below. And then the funny thing is those grow bags that I showed you that I moved in the back, they had some onions and these are the onions. You would not have known it. I did share them a couple of times on backyard garden tours, but I had to take them out because I wanted to plant some things and just get them ready to plant something else. But friends, look at these out of grow bags, and I didn't even do much to them. I mean, I just planted it and left it alone. And then as we started cleaning up the seed trays outside that I was telling you about earlier, we were starting to get rid of some of the tomato plants because they were not doing good. Plus, I just don't need to plant anymore. But friends, they started growing tomatoes. Look at this. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just wait until they turn color, or I don't know, slice them up as green tomatoes because you can eat green tomatoes too. But I mean, look at this from a seed start. This size cup, that's what they were in. and they got super tall and they started growing tomatoes. Very exciting. And I think these are the trays that I'm going to put the leeks in because I already have them filled. There's another little note I put. It says soil filled. I know that these trays have soil in them, so I'm more than likely going to be putting leeks in there. All right, before we see the harvest, I do want to show you right behind me are all of my lineup of Greenstocks on my driveway. But those right there are all of the Greenstocks that I still have to fill. We are going to be build. I feel like I've been saying this forever, but we are planning to still build those 2 structures in the back to put the remainder of these Greenstocks on. We just have to figure out how we're going to build the legs. The trellis that you saw in the back, or you've seen before, I should say, with the Greenstocks that has that huge trellis in the middle. The way my husband built it, as the decks are going out, the legs go from big to medium to, I think the back doesn't even have legs, if I remember. And if they do, they're very short. And because of the way he's building this, he has to be a little bit more strategic than the other one that he built for the other Greenstock. So it is taking a little bit longer than I was hoping for. And then the beds that we are planning to build in the back are going to be built more towards the end of the summer going into fall, because I definitely don't plan to put summer plants in there. My goal, and I've shared this before, but my goal with the wood beds is to be fall winter plants, so that all of my metal beds and those 2 really large wood beds are for just summer. And the reason is I want to get a head start on my summer garden. I feel like this year, other than my schedule being super crazy busy, I just feel like I'm always starting my summer garden later than I want to. And it's because I'm waiting to get my spring and winter, or my winter and then spring crops out, because I'm growing my winter going into spring. And so I feel like having 2 separate areas would work perfect. And especially because towards the back where the wood beds are going to be, it's a little bit more shaded. So I feel like for spring, as it starts to get really hot, it would be a perfect spot to put the spring garden, and then I can get a head start on the summer garden. Because as you can see, I just finished harvesting, and we're in June going into July, and I'm harvesting the rest of my broccoli. Now granted, there's not a bunch of beautiful big heads of broccoli, but friends, the stalks are usable. There's a couple florets, and even the leaves could be used, and I didn't have the heart to get rid of them. So this is why I want to have 2 separate areas. But again, we will be probably putting those beds up in the back towards the end of summer, beginning of fall. Now, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and see the harvest. All right, so we got ourselves a bunch of broccoli stalks. And friends, like I've always shared, I think the broccoli stalks are one of my favorite parts of the plant. I do love the florets. I love that you can't eat broccoli leaves, which is why I do take advantage of it if they're good. Sometimes there's holes or it's burnt, so I will not even use it. But I do love the stalks. Let me show you some of the florets that we do have. All right, so I don't know if you can see that little guy right there. So that's still something, and I'm going to proudly cut that up and stick it in something. So we have that, and of course the stalk. And then I have this little guy right here. I mean, friends, I just don't have the heart to not let them grow. I mean, now it's time. They do have to go. They're not going to do anything. That's why I harvested them. But I mean, that's something. And then this one is our biggest one. So you can see there's some burnt pieces on there, but you can see, look at how nice that top looks right there. I'm going to use that. Heck yeah, why not? So we're going to cut this up, cut that stalk up, and then look how tender. I want to show you something, okay? Now, I know not everybody likes broccoli leaves, and yes, I understand that completely, and I probably would not have before I started gardening, because I didn't even know you could eat them until I started gardening and I started looking things up. But these tender ones, if you were to slice these super thinly and then cook them with the stalk of the broccoli, the soft part, with any florets, throw some onion and garlic in there, and you're good to go. That's a nice little side vegetable, and now you're using the entire plant, or most of it, whatever leaves are good. And for me as a gardener, that just makes me so happy that all the work that I'm putting into growing this plant, that I can eat all of it, or at least most of it, again, depending on the leaves and part of the broccoli florets. I can eat most of the plant that I worked so hard to grow in the garden. And now for the peppers. Okay, it's only 2, but it's still something. So we got ourselves a Cali Wonder 300, which as I shared before, it is one of my favorite peppers that I grow. They are absolutely delicious. I probably could have left this on there a little bit longer because they do get bigger than that, but I was just being very impatient. So I wanted to harvest it, but I am so happy about this bell pepper. And then we got ourselves a jalapeno pepper, and I'm so happy about these. Now, I didn't plant a bunch of these pepper plants. I didn't do a lot of jalapenos, nor did I do a lot of hot peppers this year. I am mainly focusing on sweet peppers, as I've said before, if I can talk. So I am happy though that we harvested our first jalapeno. And then we got ourselves some blueberries. Now, I didn't pick them with you all because before I even started filming, I noticed that there were some birds that were going back and forth, and I thought they were originally in my strawberry plants, but they were actually, well, they might have been in my strawberry plants too. But I had a feeling, I should say, that they were picking the blueberries. I went down there and you could see little peck marks on the blueberries, so I'm like, okay, I need to harvest these. But that's a good amount of blueberries, a nice large handful of blueberries, because blueberries, I mean berries in general, they're really expensive, especially the organic ones. So I'm glad that we were able to harvest them. I really kind of felt like my blueberry plants were taking too long. I didn't know if they were going to start turning blue and ready for me to harvest because they were just taking a really long time. Now, I will say my blueberries and my raspberries in the grow bags back here, as well as my lemon and lime trees, I do plan to put them in those round Vago beds. I still have that one that was gifted to me by a family member. Friends, I just haven't had a chance to put it in there. I did buy 2 more that I need my hubby to put together, and I'm going to need, let's see, I'm gonna need 5 more because I want to put all of them in the round self-watering Vago beds, because not only do I think it's going to be better for the plant overall, but I love the self-watering system because as much as I love having berries in my lemon and lime trees, I feel like I neglect them because of the rest of the garden, and I think having the Vago bed with the self-watering system is going to help tremendously. It's just going to make my life a lot easier. So I do need to plant at least 3 of them, and then I do plan to buy 5 more. And I'm also probably thinking about doing that for my elderberry tree. I don't really share that a lot in the backyard garden because there's just too much to share, and most of the time I forget. But I have an elderberry tree in a really large grow bag, and it's actually tucked back kind of by the woods on the left side of the garden, and it still grows every year. Leaves come out. I actually need to go check it to see if there's any elderberries because I did see some flowers a couple of days ago. But I do want to put it in a Vago bed, and I don't know if I'll roll it down here or keep it over there. I haven't made up my mind. And I also have asparagus in a raised bed, listen to me, in a grow bag, a really large one and a small one. And I want to make like an asparagus bed. I have some ideas, friends. I just haven't had a chance to get to some of the things, but I'm slowly getting there. I think I'm pretty good with Greenstocks now. I don't know, we'll see. And with all of my raised beds, once he puts the other wood ones there, so I have 2 separate areas, but I do have some other ideas that I want to add or make better, I should say, to the garden. For instance, those round Vago beds. So eventually we'll get there. And I also plan to grab some avocado trees as well from Stark Brothers, but I'm waiting for them to go on sale. Plus, there's only 1 variety available, so I think it's probably a seasonal thing. I meant to get it back in May, but my schedule was insane between, I want to say like March all the way until May, beginning of June. It just was bonanzas over here. With that being said, I plan to plant some avocado trees. I already have my 2 apple dwarf trees, and I don't know, I have 2 more pots. I haven't figured out if I want to do a pear or peach tree. They do have to be dwarf size because I'm going to have them in the pots, but I'm super excited about it, and I just want to plant as much as I can when it comes to fruit trees, berries, and citrus. Well, friends, I am so glad that you all stopped by because I love turning on this camera and sharing everything that's going on in the garden, and I do want you all to know that I greatly appreciate every single one of you and always look forward to seeing you every week. And I also want you to remember this, friends. I want you to be encouraged, stay encouraged, and I want you to always stay inspired. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.